Hi guys, and welcome to the KingDumb podcast. I am your host, KingBullet, and on this podcast, I talk about anything and everything that I find to be interesting or intriguing, or I feel like I can give some insightful input onto. Uh, if you are new to the podcast, I would greatly appreciate it if you liked, followed, whatever it is on whatever platform you're listening to this on. It really helps me out, and it'll allow you to know whenever I upload new episodes, which they should go up at roughly at about every week. Today, I am going to be talking about something that might surprise a lot of people. And for a lot of you who don't know who I am a content creator. I've been creating content for about 5.5 years now. I originally, no, 5.5 years. I originally started creating content back on a platform called Mixer in on August 8th, 2017. And I've been in a lot of places, and I've created content on pretty much every platform that you can think of. And there's one platform in particular, and it I want to talk about it now because it is currently topical, and maybe people will find insights, and who knows, it'll date this episode, I guess. But Twitch. If you have watched any kind of gaming content of any kind, watching someone else play a video game, you have probably heard of the website Twitch. Twitch.tv, for background, for those of you who do not know what it is a live streaming site where people can go live and stream video games, them chatting, pretty much anything that they want, as long as it's not pornographic in nature and it doesn't violate any kind of laws. Uh, and as long as they hold to certain rights. Like, you can't go onto the platform and decide that you're gonna stream the whole, I don't know, like a whole album from a band. That's not allowed. We'll cover that more here in a little bit. But pretty much any game that is every game in the 21st century gets probably about 70% of its following if it's a AAA, and 80 to 90% of its following if it's an indie game. And I will differentiate those in a second. Pretty much gets their following from Twitch. Um, and it's rather interesting. The AAA or game in the video game industry is high budget, high profile, big games. These games consist of Halo. They are like Call of Duty, uh, games like that. Games that chances are you've probably heard of. And then the other one, the indie game, INDIE, is independent developers, usually consisting of 1 to 10 people in the company, not very well known, usually doesn't have a publisher, and doesn't have very much, if any, budget. And a lot of them get crowdfunded by Kickstarter and everything else. And guess how they get known? From streams and videos, like on Twitch. And the reason why I say all this is because Twitch is the go-to for everybody whenever it comes to streaming. And it has shown some massive vulnerability. Vulnerability meaning it has kind of allowed, or it's been damaged reputation wise, to the point that people aren't drawn to the platform as much as they could or should be. And I find it interesting because the last time Twitch felt vulnerable was back when Beam slash Mixer had their FTL streaming experience, which made interactions with between the streamer and their chat nearly instantaneous. Prior to that, Twitch had a 30 seconds delay between chat and streamer, and that has since been fixed. It is no longer a 30-second delay. Sometimes it's, a little on the slower side and it's not instantaneous, but that's usually dependent on the internet of both the viewer and the streamer. And that vulnerability was all the way back in probably 2017, 2018. And Mixer was on the up and up. Everybody was talking about Mixer. It was originally Beam. It was acquired by Microsoft. It was changed into Mixer, and they bought out Ninja and all these other big creators, and it was crazy, and Twitch was scared. And Twitch fixed their platform a little bit, got some of the people back that they lost to Mixer, and eventually Mixer fell. I'll probably cover that in a future episode, but that was the last time that Twitch felt vulnerable, I would say. Excuse me. Still getting over COVID. Got that never-ending cough. It's terrible. Um, but now in 2023, Twitch once again feels vulnerable. So if you missed it, I don't know how you would, but if you did, in 2020 there was a massive, massive thing happening all around the world called COVID. COVID shut down the world for pretty much 2 years. It was a pandemic. It technically still is, but it is kind of fallen off to the wayside. There's now enough knowledge of it and enough medicine out there that it allows for it to not be as life-threatening as it once was. And so the world has started to open back up, but for the longest time, people were stuck inside. You had to stay 6 feet from everybody. You had to have a mask on at all times. You pretty much had to like wash your hands constantly. And it was so bad at one point that you would think that a zombie apocalypse hit and people were boarding up and, you know, either dead or trying to avoid dying, right? And it was pretty crazy. I remember specifically going to Walmart and Sam's Club and all these other places like, hey, I need to get some basic things like toilet paper. I needed to get some masks because I didn't have a mask at the time. And I needed to get like some basic food just so that I could eat. And they were pretty much empty. It was the emptiest I've ever seen a Walmart in my life. And it was wild. Um, it completely boggled my mind how much this actually affected the world, and it was like that everywhere. And because people were told to stay indoors and don't go out and be safe, people looked for entertainment. So they turned to video games primarily. Well, not primarily, but a lot of people turned to video games, either watching them or playing them or what have you. And the people who were able to work remotely and not lose their job, they were able to continue buying games, continue doing this, continue doing that, and feeding into an economy that was 90% online now instead of a person-to-person, face-to-face interaction economy. It was now all online. And that was great. The gaming industry and the content creation slash streaming industry boomed. It was at the peak, the highest it's ever seen. Some statistics showed that viewer counts and everything else were double all across all of the platforms. Huge, huge boom. And that's great. But we're at a point now where COVID, as I said, isn't as terrifying as it once was. Now, if you still get it, like, it is a kind of scary thing, but if you take proper care of yourself, if you listen to your doctors, the experts on the matter and everything else, chances are you're not gonna have to worry too much. You'll be, stuck indoors and isolated for a week or two, and then that's about it, right? And so because of that, people have lessened their gaming and content consumption. It's a very weird sentence to say. They stopped buying as many games because they don't have the time, because they have to work or they have to go to school. They stopped watching people play games for the same reasons. And so within the last year or so, the gaming and content creation industry has started to see this dip, and a lot of major companies are showing this kind of vulnerability where they have to do mass layoffs because whenever the pandemic was going on, they needed people. They needed more people there to help them out and do all this stuff. And there was just so much going on. And holy crap, what are we going to do? And now it's getting to the point where it's like, well, we don't need 10 people to figure out how to brush one person's teeth. And obviously, that's not a thing, but you get what I'm saying. They're unneeded. You only need one or two people to do the same job as was requiring 10 plus people before. And so these mass layoffs are happening. And the mass layoffs happening couldn't happen at a worse time because there's a new streaming platform, which I will start getting into and talk about in a future episode as well, called Kick. And Kick has come out with a lot of interesting things, but that Kick comes out, content creation and gaming industry going down, and then because of all of the struggles financially for a lot of these companies, Twitch just announced that, hey, instead of allowing our partners to work towards a 70-30 split, 70% to the creator, 30% to the platform split for revenue for all subs, it's now going to be a 50-50 split across the board. So at one point, everybody was working towards this dream goal of going towards getting 70% from their subs instead of only 50%, raising their money from $2.50 per sub to like $3.75 per sub. It wasn't a lot on, like, if you look at a couple small people, but for some of the bigger creators, this was thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars per month that they were losing, and so because of this, a lot of the big name streamers who kind of keep Twitch mostly afloat were like, I don't know, man. You see this platform over here? Yeah, they're offering me a 70-30 all the way around. You're only offering me a 50-50. We're going to have to talk, right? And so there these other platforms like Kick, like YouTube are offering these better splits and looking very, very profitable, positive, whatever adjective you want to use, over Twitch. Twitch is now looking like it's going to be the bottom of the barrel, despite being the biggest streaming platform out there currently. There's other better avenues that these content creators that make Twitch the biggest streaming platform out there, the biggest streaming platform out there. So if these creators decide to up and leave and go to a different platform, well, Twitch ends up dying. The whole platform is going to end up just going to the wayside. It's just going to disappear. And because of all of this, on top of all of this, whatever it is you want to say for it, they're also introducing more ads. And now you might be thinking, oh, well, ads aren't too bad. They're like on YouTube. They are, sometimes 6 seconds, sometimes up to like 5 minutes, but usually for any that are 15 seconds or longer, you can just hit skip ad. Well, on Twitch, you can't skip any of the ads unless you become a subscriber, and that costs money. We'll get to that in a second as well. But you can't skip the ads. As a general viewer for a channel, you can't skip any ads. And before, it used to not be too bad. You would get pre-roll ads. So whenever someone would initially click onto your stream, they would get roughly 15 to 45 seconds worth of ads that would play, and then they would get into the stream, and then that was it. No more ads. Unless the streamer themselves initiated an ad roll, which usually happened when they were taking a break, going to the bathroom, getting a drink, whatever. Now they're trying to get more ads to play, and more and more and more of these ads are showing up. They're doing picture-in-picture ads. They're doing in the middle of a stream ad. It's no longer something where you can just see it once or twice and then that's it. It's now a constant thing. And if they were skippable, that'd be fine, but there's sometimes about 4 minutes of ads that run for a viewer at a single time, and so they're missing a large chunk of the stream. If you really think about it, if they're sitting there for like 3 to 4 minutes, in a general sense, a Call of Duty game, for example, a multiplayer match usually is at most 10 minutes long, maybe 15 minutes for some of the bigger battles, but it's usually about 10 minutes long. That means that viewer is missing at least 2/5 or 4/10 of that match because of ads, which could result in tons of kills, tons of cool moments, really hype things happening. Or in a video game, in that 4 minutes, you could go through 3, 4 different forms of dialogue that were all super important for story building, and you have no idea what's going on as a viewer. It's horrible, absolutely horrible, because it's not like Twitch pauses the stream and then allows you to catch up later. It's the stream keeps going whether you're watching an ad or not, and whatever you miss is whatever you miss. You go on YouTube, an ad plays, and you're starting to get into like the story, and your favorite YouTuber is talking to this person who's laying down some thick plot lines, and an ad hits, and you're like, oh god, an ad. And then like 5 seconds later, you hit skip ad. It picks up where you left off. You're not waiting minutes, and you're not missing anything, even if you have to wait minutes. It picks up right where it leaves off. So it works not perfectly, but 100 times better than what Twitch is currently offering people. And they're trying to lean on these ads so much that they're offering their top creators, where they've ripped this 70-30 split from them. They're like, well, listen, you can keep your 50-50 split sub revenue if you take this deal for these ads. We'll have you run 5 minutes of ads every hour on stream. You have to stream at least like 400 hours or 250 hours, whatever it is, some crazy number every single month. And as long as you hit that and you run this amount of ads, we'll pay you this amount. And it's usually not worth the time. It's not making up that kind of money deficit that they're witnessing and experiencing. And it's really, really demoralizing for a lot of streamers to see all of this and then see Twitch say, hey, this is the only other option you have. And as far as I have personally seen, most of them deny that, because in the time that the ads are generating or playing, they could have generated some other revenue from bits or from new subs or whatever. And these ads are so intrusive in streams that people are watching streams less because they're missing large chunks. A lot of people are just watching the the video afterwards, the video of the day afterwards, or waiting until that streamer posts it up on YouTube so they can watch it all the way through without interruption. And it's causing Twitch to fail pretty miserably. And so Twitch is really showing this vulnerability. And for Kick and other streaming platforms, specifically Kick because it's the new one, it's the perfect time to come out with a new platform because this seemingly untoppable giant of the industry known as Twitch is now seeming like it isn't as untouchable as it once was. And then you have YouTube, which pretty much everybody knows YouTube. I don't know of a single person who has not gone on YouTube at least once, right? Or at least heard it mentioned once. And YouTube, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's recorded videos. Yes, it's recorded and edited videos, but also people are streaming on YouTube. And guess what they're not having? These invasive, obnoxious ads that halts people from being able to enjoy the live stream. And what makes it even better is guess what? It's a 70-30 split for subs. And you can even make your own sub amounts. For Twitch, it's $5 flat out. That's it. You can go like a $10 and $25, but it's all predetermined by Twitch. You can't change it. You can only change the rewards that people get out of it. On YouTube, you can create your own. It's either members or sponsors. You can create your own amount that people support you with. So, for example, myself, I have a $1, I have a $5, or no, I have a $1, a $6, and a $10, I think it is, or $20. That way, if people want to support me and show that they're supporting me, but they don't get a lot of money and they can only really afford a little bit at a time, that $1 is just $1. They could pick it up off the street for all they know, and that's $1 a month. And I see 70 cents of it. And then people can have more or support more as they want. And if people ask, like, hey, I want to support you this much more, can you make a tier for this much? I can make that tier and people could support me on it. And I still see 70%. So if I make a $100 tier, instead of only seeing $50 when someone would subscribe to that tier, I would see $70, which is pretty significant. So, these other platforms are looking very, very strong in the face of Twitch. And with the pandemic at the back of everything, and Amazon, who owns Twitch, already letting go in mass layoffs a large amount of employees from their own offices, but also from now Twitch. Twitch is looking more and more vulnerable. It's looking more and more like these platforms can strike. And so, as I've said previously, I've been on pretty much every platform that you can think of. I've done YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, I've done Trovo, I tried DLive, I've checked out Glymesh, I've checked out Kick, you name it, I've probably been on it. If it's a game streaming platform, I've probably tried it out for at least a little bit. And so I feel like at this point I kind of know what works and what doesn't. And Twitch was one of the hardest ones to figure out what is working and what isn't working, because I'm not someone who really cares about what I get out of a subscription. If I subscribe to someone, it's because I want to support them. I enjoy their content. I feel like they deserve to be paid for the content that they put out. As if you're a content creator, or if you know of content creators is a very tough job. It's not as simple as turn on a camera and play some video games. There's a lot more that goes into it, even for the live streaming aspect of it. And so I don't care if I get emotes or special privileges or anything like that. But a lot of people really, really enjoy emotes and different things that make it like more stylized. They can show off, oh, I'm a subscriber over to Markiplier on Twitch. I have his preach emote. Look at this. And then you have another person like, oh yeah, well I'm subscribed to Jacksepticeye over on Twitch. And look at his scream emote. Oh, and it like people love that. People subscribe to people specifically for the emotes. I've seen time and time and time again where people are like, "Oh my god, I love your emotes." And then they subscribe and stay subscribed just because they can use those emotes throughout the rest of Twitch, because it is all over Twitch that you can use them. You don't have to just use them in the channel that you're in and that you unlock them in. If you have a Markiplier emote, you can go over to Jacksepticeye's channel and use the Markiplier emote in Jacksepticeye's channel. It's fantastic. It's a great way to not only like promote your own favorite streamer or promote these streamers who have really good emotes in a respectful way, because it's fun and engaging and exciting, and most of the time it's funny. And yes, I know there's people out there like, oh, don't use other people's emotes in my stream, that's self-promotion for them. No, shut up, get out of here, you don't matter. Yeah, I will straight up say you don't matter. Listen, if you are paying for emotes and you're excited, you get this emote from someone and it's so cool and it's so fun. The emote isn't named like, oh, Markiplier, channel Markiplier, face Preach. It's usually MAR Preach. Or for my emotes, it was King B1 rip RIP for like my tombstone, right? You don't see the promotion, like you don't know who it's for a lot of the times, because a lot of people's names are similar. Like I couldn't just get King because there's obviously more people with King in their name or at the start of their name, not just KingBullet. Like there's no way that it's actually self-promotion. Now, like if people are just coming in and it's their own emotes and they're slamming them down like, hey, everybody go subscribe to use these emotes, like, yeah, sure, that's a thing. That's not okay. But like, just if I say my rip emote, my tombstone, like RIP, and someone dies, and so they put the RIP emote out there, like, oh, rip, like, oh, well, you died, oh, that sucks, it's funny. It's not promoting me by any means. Now if they ask like, oh, that's really nice, whose emote is that, that's when you can promote them. But on the other hand, like, oh yeah, oh, I died, oh, tombstone, oh, funny, it's that's all it is. And people love this stuff, and that's great. Like, as far as I know, Twitch is the only one that has it so that you can use anybody's emotes that you're subscribed to on any other channel. YouTube doesn't have that. I don't think Kick has that. Facebook Gaming, I don't even pay attention to anymore because of all the stuff that's going on with them. That's a completely different story for a different day. So, why... How can I word this next part? Why is Twitch failing so significantly if people love things like the emotes and everything else? That would come down to money, as is with most of the things in most of the world now. Money. Going back, there's obviously a lot of budget cuts, there's obviously a lot of things going on. They're not able to keep up with just the expenses, and so they need to generate more money for themselves. Whenever a streamer runs an ad, not only does the streamer get paid a little bit, but the platform also gets paid a little bit. And whenever people buy bits, which is for interacting with streams, the platform gets a little bit. Every time you spend some kind of money on a platform, the platform gets a little bit, and the streamer that you're spending it on gets a little bit. And what they have been getting hasn't been enough. Twitch has started become it's become a black hole of money almost, because you have to pay for these servers to be open and up for people to be able to connect to so that they can stream through your website. You have to pay the team to make sure the website runs properly. There's all these like factors going on all the time in over on Twitch that it makes it really expensive. And I can see why Twitch would get rid of the 70-30 split in hopes that it would be a lot more money for them. But I don't agree with the decision. So I see why they did it, because obviously if the streamers are losing out on thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars every single month because of this switch, that means the platform is getting that money. It's not just disappearing, it's going to the platform. Excuse me. Remember to stay hydrated, everybody. Especially if you have been talking for a long time or you haven't taken a drink. Take this moment to, get a drink. Keep hydrated, especially if it's hot in your area. A little bit of water always helps. But anyway, getting back into it, the money isn't disappearing, it's going to the platform. And the platform is obviously going to be getting a lot more money for it. But I don't agree with that step. And this is where I feel like there's going to be a massive divide in people with what I'm saying and what I believe. So, to preface this properly, I have to go to the generalized populace. There is a large belief that anyone can become a content creator. I don't share that belief. Not because I am worried about the next group of people coming in and replacing me as a content creator or whatever it is, but purely because there's some people who they're great as a content creator. They make fun, engaging content, or they're really good at what they do and really easily connected with. And then there's other people who are not so great at it for one reason or another. And I don't believe everybody is capable of it. Just like not everybody is capable of being a rocket scientist or a construction worker or a game programmer or whatever. Not everybody is cut out to be a content creator. And that might be a hot take, but that's my belief. I believe that not everybody should create content. And my example of this is if we go to Twitch right now and look at the lowest view count streams on the platform, there are probably close to, I'd say, 20-30,000 streams currently live with 0 viewers. A lot of them, there's no talking, it's just purely the game, or they may be talking, but it's in a very rough and unfriendly way, whatever it is. Usually not something that a lot of people gravitate towards as far as content goes. And all of these people being there and streaming at that time is taking up servers for Twitch. So, from my very basic understanding of servers, if they're anything like the Mixer servers, Twitch has servers based in certain regions that everybody connects to. Each server is able to handle a certain amount of people, and after a certain amount of people start filling up that server, they need to move it on to the next server. And so you will see sometimes upwards of like hundreds of servers for one region of the world for streaming. And each server maybe holds like 2 or 3 thousand people before it's full and it needs to go to the next one. And some servers are more stable than others. I remember back on Mixer, the Mixer partners had an unknown privilege where we had priority servers, and like our streams were usually more clean and streamlined and had less lag, whereas regular content creators would have issues. Um, it's a little secret that I'll probably get in trouble for talking about, but that is a thing that happened. And so, obviously, these servers cost money to keep online. I don't know how much money it would be, but let's just say it's, I don't know, every server can hold 1,000 people, and for that 1,000 people server, it's like $20,000 a month. That means if on that server of people, there's, we'll say, 600 people streaming to 0 viewers and don't do anything but stream, that's costing like $120,000 a month. No, $12,000 a month. I know how to do math. I apologize. It's costing them about $12,000 a month for just those people to run it and maybe see a return of, we'll say, like $4,000 or $5,000 from the people who are at the upper end, because even the people who do stream to 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 people, they're not making thousands of dollars a month. They're maybe making a couple hundred, and all of that adds up to maybe $1,000, $2,000. And for the longest time, the biggest content creators were able to manage and hold it and make it so that it was at least break even. But that that whole thing of anybody can be a streamer, anybody can be a content creator started to happen, and as it happens more and more, it becomes more and more expensive for the platform. And some people are like, "Oh, well, the more that that person is streaming, the more that they make, and the more that they make, the more the platform makes." Wrong. If you are looking at getting into content creation in any regard, do not, and I repeat, do not spend even 50% of your time in front of your camera. There's people who do 12 to 24, 36-hour streams to 0 or 1 person and see little to no growth at all, and they will do them frequently, and they'll never see growth. They'll never be able to get above the mosh pit of 0 viewer streamers that are out there. But then there's people who stream 3, 4 hours, and then they spend the rest of that, we'll say, 12-hour time connecting with people, marketing, networking, becoming friends, getting people to talk to them and talking to those people, and making these connections that, you know, at one point you become a friend of someone on Discord because you talk to them in somebody else's community, and then you go live and you have your Discord connected to your Twitch, so your Twitch goes live and it says on Discord that you're live, and then that person you became friends with ends up coming into your stream like, hey, I didn't know you stream, and then you're like, hey, I know, I'm new to it, I'm just getting started. You did your networking. You got one viewer, and then you continue doing that, and you continue building these communities and continue building up until, wouldn't you know it, you're affiliate and you're making money. Almost, I would say 70% of content creation, and I'm saying 70% because I am lumping all of content creation into one thing. All like gaming and vlog, like video content creation. There we go. About 70% of video content creation is done behind the camera with the camera turned off. And so if you're spending 12 hours streaming to 0 viewers, you're costing the platform money, even though the platform allows you to do it for free. You're not seeing any growth. You just cost the platform maybe $600-700 for that stream of yours, and you do that 2, 3, 4 times a week. You're costing the platform a couple $1,000s a week, and you're not growing and you're not getting any return for the platform. Because even if you become an affiliate and you get affiliate by 50 followers and 3 concurrent viewers over a month-long period, they're still getting some kind of subscriber count. They'll usually have like 5 to 10, and they require now $50 to pay out to the streamers. So all the way up until that streamer generates $50 in revenue, all of that money goes into TikTok, Twitch's pocket. I'm gonna get to TikTok if I have time today, but um, that's what gives the platform its money, is you know, being able to get those subscriptions even if you don't get a payout, because then by the time they do have to pay out that 50, 75, $100 that they owe you, they've already gotten probably 4 or 5 months worth of subscriptions from other places, and so that, we'll say $50 was spread out over 4 months, and it makes it a lot more manageable for Twitch to be able to do. So you're at least giving some kind of return, even if you're costing maybe $400, $500, $600 every week. That we'll say that like $2,000 a month, we'll say, ends up becoming something that they're still seeing some kind of return on. Instead of $2,000 a month, it might be maybe like 1,800 a month, and it's lessened, and it helps the platform just a little bit, on that lower end. And that's where I think Twitch should have been focusing and should focus. I think they give 70-30 split back to their top earning partners. It was only ever for like the top of the top. You had to have a certain amount of subscribers to be able to get the 70-30 to begin with. And so, give it back to them. But limit the amount of time non-affiliates can stream, but also limit the time that affiliates can stream, or up to a certain CCV, or up to a certain subscriber count. So if you're not affiliate, you can stream 40 hours a week. You can do a full, like full-time job amount of hours per week. You become affiliate, you start making a little bit of money. You can maybe stream 50 hours a week if you want to. or it stays 40, and then by the time you hit like maybe 100 or 50 subscribers or something like that, you can do 50 or 60 hours a week. And how you spend that time is up to you, and then that way, yeah, it kind of seems crappy, but if you really think about it, for your average general streamer, they usually will stream 3 to 4 hours a day, sometimes every single day, but most of the time about 5 days a week. So they're usually only streaming roughly around 20 to 30 hours a week, even if they are streaming every single day. So that should be plenty of time. And I mean plenty of time for the streamer to be able to create their community and to grow their channel. And then, of course, there's going to be that whole thing of, oh, well, what about these people who want to do these streamathons, these really big, long streams? Well, a lot of them are fueled by subscribers. People become a subscriber, it adds on to the time, and so the streamer streams for longer, and then they end up getting more people in because they have a bunch of people in trying to get them to stream as long as possible, to do all these weird little events and things that they do, whatever it is. It's creating revenue, but it's interaction. And if you're doing that and you end up getting a certain amount of subs anyway, if you go to do a subathon and every subscriber is an extra 10 minutes on stream and you only get 10 subscribers, that's only about 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes that it adds, or an hour 40 minutes, whatever it is. It's not very long, is the long and short of it. But if you are doing one under the same premise, and usually it's not even, it's less than 10 minutes that is added on per subscription. But using 10 minutes as an example, if you would get 100 subscribers, that's adding on a ridiculous amount of minutes. And if you get that many, then you would hit the goal that you would need to hit to be able to stream longer anyway. So it works. Like it's not like it's gonna clash into each other. It's gonna be seamless if they do it right. I mean, let's just be honest with each other here. It would work. It would save Twitch ridiculous amounts of money. Ridiculous amounts of money. Like probably tens of thousands of dollars a month. And then you turn around and the streamers who are actually, trying to make something out of the stream, they see no change. And they have something to work towards. They have that 70-30 split at the very top that they're always trying to work towards. To me, that seems like the better option, the better go-to. But that's for Twitch to decide. Twitch is looking vulnerable. I don't know what they're going to do in the future. I personally can't support the platform myself anymore. I find a lot of their changes to be too intrusive to my community and to the viewers that I'm trying to bring in to my community. I want them to be able to get the best possible experience, and in my opinion, Twitch does not provide the best possible experience anymore. Can they? Absolutely. Will they? Who knows? So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to me rant about how Twitch is vulnerable and how they can fix it. Who knows what will happen? But I appreciate everybody coming in and listening to me ramble on about this. This is a topic that I will probably revisit in the future. Maybe not Twitch in general, but at least streaming platforms and the content creator universe in general. It's a topic of insane proportion, and there's a lot to talk about in there. So make sure you follow, subscribe, whatever it is on whatever platform you're listening on, so that you know the next time that I upload a episode of this podcast. Once again, I am King Bullet. You can find me pretty much anywhere as King Bullet. Look for the crown and bullet. If you find a long haired dude with facial hair, you found me. If you have any suggestions for topics for future episodes, please let me know. And I will see all of you guys next time. Boy, go!